As Gayle King might say, have you been? Have you been? Did you go to the White House Correspondents Dinner?
I did not. Eliana, did you go?
I have been one time, and that was enough for me. I think maybe 2018 or 2019. That was good enough for me. And I cannot tell you how happy I was not to attend any cocktail parties or any events associated with this weekend of festivities in Washington.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Same answer for me. I've been. I didn't go. I had zero desire to go. I did speak with Maureen Callahan, who went, which she considered to be research for her new podcast, which is called The Nerve. Everyone should go and subscribe. It's doing great. She's crushing it. But anyway, I don't want to steal her thunder, but she basically described virtually every guest who she talked to as doing the following. And it's not just Maureen. They do this to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
For the listening audience, I'm pretending to look over somebody's shoulder. It's so annoying. I've been there too. It's so effed up. It's like they're always looking for someone more important. You really want to be like, listen, effer, there is no one more important. I'm standing here right in front of you. I've made the time to talk to you. I showed up at your stupid party. You know, like, you're so rude, but that's how they all are, because it's a bunch of glommers who want to climb some corporate ladder in Washington in the press corps. What is the apex of that in today's day and age? I don't really know, but this thing has been dwindled down to the smallest, most pathetic version of itself with no stars. I mean, none. We used to have like Scarlett Johansson there. I mean, I mocked George Clooney, but at the height of his fame, he showed up at this thing. Now it was like some C-lister from some cop show I never heard of. It's like, I didn't know who these people were. With all due respect to the actors and actresses, it's just, we used to have the creme de la creme of the Hollywood crowd. Now they can't get anybody.
Trump used to go.
Exactly right.
He was
Supreme Court
elected.
justices used to be all over the place. Helen Mirren I saw one time at these things. It was like, I'm just saying, like, it used to be household names if they got Hollywood celebs. Now it's like, who's that? You Google them, you kind of know the name of that show, but usually not really. And just the most insulting bit of information there. Okay, there were a couple of misfires. I'm going to start with this one. So they had Alex Thompson of Axios get up there, who received an award for, okay, wait, I want to make sure I have the right title. Hold on. What is it? Alex Thompson. Oh, God. Is it? Did I not write it down? I can't find
His
it.
was, I think, the Aldo Beckman Award.
The Aldo Beckman Award for his coverage of the cover-up of Biden's mental decline. All right. They gave him an award for this. And here is how he sounded when he took that award.
President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him is a reminder that every White House, regardless of party, is capable of deception. But being truth tellers also means telling the truth about ourselves. We, myself included, missed a lot of this story, and some people trust us less because of it. We bear some responsibility for faith in the media being at such lows. I say this because acknowledging errors builds trust, and being defensive about them further erodes it.
Now, this guy is being universally praised for saying this. And I'm sorry, with all due respect, that is a joke. We, myself included, missed a lot of this story. We bear some responsibility for faith in the media being at such lows. What a lie, Emily. We missed it. That's the problem with the Biden decline story, that the press missed it. It was kept from them by this deceitful cabal around the president, and they just happened to miss the biggest story of the decade. That's a lie. That is not what happened. And I'm sorry, but the mere fact that Alex Thompson is getting an award for his coverage of it is a joke. I can name 10 so-called right-leaning conservative podcasters who were all over the Biden mental decline story for years before Alex Thompson was even touching it. Yes, he's in the mainstream. He was one who dared to touch it with a 10-foot pole. But what a joke that he gets an award for it. Are you kidding me? Steven Crowder could be up there, but they would never. Like, we can go down the list. But I'm sorry, Alex Thompson was not the person who blew open the Biden mental decline story. And the media did not innocently miss the story. They actively worked to cover it up for years.
They actively worked to suppress people who were pushing the story via the cheap fake narrative right before the debate. And so, yeah, I mean, Alex Thompson is somebody who, within the quote unquote mainstream, was trying to push this story forward and getting absolutely buried by the White House and by critics within the media to the point where he was sort of seen as an exception. People would be like, well, Alex Thompson's covering that, so that nobody else would touch it. And so he took some arrows and genuinely took some arrows for all of this. And probably that's what motivates him to feel somewhat vindicated now. But the idea that you would give an award, genuinely, that this White House Correspondents Association would give someone an award for this story, I think he's right that it acknowledges to acknowledge that you get something wrong builds trust. But it is so cynical, so deeply cynical for this White House Correspondents Association to think that they can give Alex Thompson an award. He has a book coming out with Jake Tapper, of all people, which is hilarious in and of itself, about the Biden cover-up. We'll see what's in that book. But to give him an award after everything that was done and act like they can go about business as usual is pathetic. I agree completely. It's just ridiculous.
We're being gaslit here, Eliana. This is a massive gaslighting. They've ignored the entire right-wing ecosystem that reports on President Biden, that reported on him for the 4 years of his presidency, that were jumping up and down. This show alone did an in-depth show on this back in 2021. Not that I need an award from the White House Correspondents, but like, it's a joke to signal out this guy at Axios as like the leader. That's bullshit. And he perpetuated more bullshit by getting up there saying that we missed it. We, the White House Washington press corps, missed the story. That's not the right verb.
All right, I have a little bit less harsh to take on this. I would say, full disclosure, Alex is a friend. I thought highly of his White House reporting. I agree with you on two things. First, I would say, let's just stipulate these are awards for the mainstream media, bequeathed to mainstream media people. Missed it is not the right word. It would be, we didn't want to cover it. And you could talk about the reasons why they didn't want to cover it. Alex tried to cover it, and the Wall Street Journal tried to cover it. Those were the two outlets that tried to cover this story. And
pretty late in the game, Eliana. Pretty
late in the game. No, I agree with you.
But that's an important point. That's an important point. These Johnny-come-latelys in the mainstream who, just as we were going into the next presidential election, were like, gee, he seems infirm. Fuck off. Where were they when those of us were out there doing in-depth pieces on this for years prior and being dismissed as nasty, cheap fakery, et cetera, thugs against poor President Biden? When poor James Rosen got banned from the White House press office for 18 months because he dared ask a question. I don't remember Alex Thompson or these other guys standing up for James Rosen. They missed nothing.
So they didn't want to cover it. And the other piece of this is not only did they not want to cover it, they then gaslit the American public about the conservatives who were pointing this out. The New York Times and other outlets wrote about the deceptively edited videos of Biden and did full pieces about how any commentary about Biden's diminished mental capacity was misleading. So they didn't want to cover it. And then they told their readers that any coverage that was occurring of it was misleading and fake. And so I think to sort of fully address this, you would have to say, we didn't want to cover it and we gaslit people who on their own were going down this path and were curious about what was happening. And the third thing I would say is that it's somewhat less courageous to speak out about this now, because after that June debate between Biden and Trump, the mainstream media was exposed as sort of the man who has no clothes. So these things are safe to say. And by the way, books about this are now marketable. When they weren't before. So now this can be told, everything can be said, and it is considered courageous to say this sort of thing, whereas it was really hard and dangerous for mainstreamers to say this before that. So I think that's the context around all of this.
They also allowed themselves to get bullied by the Biden White House into not covering the story while claiming the mantle of, quote, democracy dies in darkness, of them being the ones who were adversarial to power, where they saw what happened to the James Rosens, the access was revoked. They saw Alex Thompson getting yelled at. Yeah, and like literally that bullying was enough for them to shut up. But now they, of course, want to frame themselves as the champions of democracy in the face of the adversary. And that is ridiculous, too, because when it was hardest, they allowed themselves, like that was, I will give them credit. It was hard because the White House was going to take away your access and they were going to complain about you. But if everyone had done it, it would have been okay. And they know damn well it would have been okay because it was a true story and the White House couldn't get away with it and the public saw it, but they allowed themselves to be played a fool by the Biden White House and to get bullied into silence. That's when it would have mattered that they were standing up for democracy in the darkness.
I'm just looking up the dates. The thing with Rosen I know happened in 2022. Our episode was June of 2022. It was actually number 339. If you want to go back and look, June of 2022, long before the presidential politics had heated up. And honestly, like there was no interest in reporting on anything that would compromise President Biden. None whatsoever. I told you, this was taken out of the interview that I gave to the New York Times recently when we were talking about media. Where was Peter Baker on the fact that a neurologist had visited the White House 10 times in the past year? How was that missed? Why aren't they looking at the White House visitor logs the way they would during a Trump administration? He wasn't keeping them for some time. Why weren't they looking at them under President Biden, which would have shown them that he was having repeated visits from a neurologist? To this moment, we don't fully know what's wrong with him or what was wrong with him while he was the sitting president of the United States. This July, there is a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, they're meeting with the goal of displacing the US dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset. As BRICS nations push forward with their plans, global demand for US dollars will decrease, bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings potentially. While this transition won't happen overnight, the Rio Reset in July marks a pivotal moment when BRICS objectives move decisively from theoretical possibility toward inevitable reality, according to many experts. Learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to 989898. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the Rio Reset. Text MK to 989898 today. Message and data rates apply. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.